Hey guys, it's Troy again, and I have yet another pen review. This one is by special request. I had a viewer who said I would really like for you to do a review of the Jinhao 911. And I said, well, I've never used one before, but I'll go ahead and I'll order one just because you asked for it. So for like $1.16 or so, thereabouts, including shipping, I ordered this pen right here. It's an all-metal silver tone. It looks like a brushed stainless steel looking thing. And there's the bottom, there's the finial, there's the clip. This is a nothing special looking pen. But don't let that deceive you. I actually like this pen better than pens that I've got in my collection that cost far more. So let's pull off the cap, and you can see that you've got a black plastic section, but you've got a fully hooded nib. Some people are going, oh, that reminds me of a Parker. Yeah, pretty much. It's the Parker design that has so often been copied. Wanted to know, let's see what it does look like on the inside. So I pull it off, and I got a regular old Jinhao converter. Some of these Jinhao converters are actually halfway decent in general. So I was happy about that. It came with its own converter for $1.16 or so. It fit in nice. It filled nicely. Ta-da! And it caps just by pushing it in. Here's a point where you start to get some resistance, and then you just keep sliding, and it's got a nice tight fit to it. Alright, I looked at it. It's probably like a 0.38 millimeter nib is what it looks like. It looks like a fine to an extra fine style nib. That's what I'm used to seeing with these. But especially in a Jinhao, we've got some Jinhao pens that have got that 0.38 nib that look very much like this in a hooded style. So I inked this sucker up, and I gotta be honest, I was impressed with it. It wrote a lot smoother than I thought this pen was going to write. And I've been using it for several days, and every time I picked it up, it's been writing first time every time. First, I was afraid it was going to be one of those horrible aerometric converters in it. This is a Bauer pen, and it is a knockoff of a Parker. You've got the same kind of plastic barrel here. You've got the same fully hooded nib. You unscrew it, and it's got one of those horrible aerometric converters, which I really detest. Really not a fan. And it's got the same slide-on cap. This one actually goes on fairly deep. So that's what I was afraid that I was going to get or discover once I pulled off the cap. And I was, okay, it's a hooded nib. I wonder if they went with that design. Here's an old Parker 21. I showed this on Pen Mail a little while ago. It's another one of those. You pull it off, and it's got the section that's not quite as long as the other, but you see that you've got the hooded nib on this one as well, although it comes down a little further down here. You open it up, and this one had the squeeze bulb here. It's got that, you know, the little fork here that you squeeze together, that squeeze bulb. Now this one actually writes very well. You know, it is a true Parker. It's not a Chinese knockoff. But when I went to go write with this one, I was really impressed. I liked it. It was smooth. Let me show you by comparison how it looks compared to the Parker 21. I don't know what Parker it's modeled after, or if it was after like a 51 or some other model, but that's the height by comparison. You can see it's very different on the body style. Obviously the nib styles are very similar as that Parker style. So We'll give you some. I'll give you some statistics on this particular pen, and I will do a writing sample and some comparison here for pen lengths of some pens that you may already know. So we'll do that here in just a sec. Alright, here we are for the writing sample portion of the Jinhao 911. So, that is the Jinhao. Well, you know what? I've got this pad kind of leaning up, so it's not going to work well. So, size comparison. Here's a Parker 21. Here is a Bauer, which is basically a Parker knockoff. Here is a Jinhao 750. And just for grins on the other side, I'm going to give you a Lamy 2000. Just for comparison's sake. Alright, so those are your general size comparisons. So, set these aside. So, like I was saying, it's got a nice little hooded nib. Fits together very nicely. It posts fairly deeply, very securely. That is not coming off. So, this right here is the Jinhao 911. It has a fine hooded nib. This pen really surprised me with how smoothly it writes. This writes very smoothly. You may hear a little bit of feedback, but don't let that distract from it, because it is actually a very nice writing pen. I can, let's see, let's do a few. You're not going to get any real line variation out of it, so don't expect that. I mean, first of all, if you got a hooded nib, you're not going to get any flexibility out of it either, anyway, no matter what. So, but it lays down a good amount of ink for what it is. I mean, look at that. This is just a very small nib, very fine nib. And actually is one of the better writing fine nibs I think that I've ever used in a Chinese pen, bar none. So, does it keep up with me? Yeah, actually. I can do fast writing, reverse writing, and ultra fine. I mean, micro fine, if you want to do reverse writing with it. So it does that fairly well. So folks, look, I got to tell you, this was actually one of the bigger surprises that I've had in quite a while. The Jinhao 911, one of the better writing, nicer, smoother pens that I've seen in quite a while for $1.16 that I had delivered to my door. This one definitely is going to stay in my collection. I'm definitely going to use it in rotation. I used it all this past weekend and was very impressed with it. The Jinhao 911, I'll give it a thumbs up.